And this is where we talk about the possible solutions to the current crisis in the country. And today with me is the chairman of Buhari Media Organization, Mr. Niyi Akeshiju. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Firstly, we want to ask you, as the chairman of Buhari Media Organization, Nigerians want to know explicitly the achievements of the government, especially the president, for the past 6 years.
Well, we thank you for the question. I think we need to understand the philosophical undercurrents of this government. One, and that is manifested in the three pivots, the three fundamental programs of the government. The fight against corruption, that's the anti-corruption war, stabilizing the economy, and of course ensuring security. Now, those fundamentals were products of the situation, when the major circumstances of the government of Nigeria, when the government was just coming into power, so the challenges, the Nigerian challenges as at then, were encapsulated in these three fundamental programs. So if we are going to talk about the achievement of the administration, we'll be looking from these three perspectives, as it were. What was the situation of the Nigerian economy in 2015? We had lost more than 4% of our GDP between 2014 and 2015, which means that it was an economy that was on a decline. We're not earning. By 2015, we're not earning much, from crude oil sales. We had a large number of very poor people living under $1 a day. As at 2012, we had 112 plus million Nigerians living under $1 a day. Our state of infrastructure was near zero. What economists call stock of our infrastructure was less than 35% of our GDP. Then, of course, our foreign reserve was on the low. We unfortunately had made so much money before then. Before 2014, we were earning so much from crude oil sales. In fact, in a particular year, 2011, we made $68 billion, $68 billion plus dollars. 2011. That was the highest. In the last 10 years before 2019, according to the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative. They are responsible for measuring and, of course, collating this result. They said as at 2011, we made $68 plus billion. But unfortunately, as at 2012, the record of Nigerian poor living under $1 a day was more than 112 million. So you can see the contradiction. So these were obvious challenges in the economic space, and there was a need, of course, to stabilize the economy. We were spending more than $2 billion annually importing food. 70 to 80% of the food we were eating in Nigeria were imported. So we're fitting classically into the description of a country that was import dependent on everything. Our production was, our productive activities, especially in the manufacturing sector, was more or less on the periphery. It was on the margin side. So the party and the president, of course, aggregated that as a major challenge that needed to be addressed. That's for the economy. Is
that why the president really focused on agriculture?
Yeah. So now coming in, everybody who is somebody in Nigeria over the last 20 years or more had always talked about diversification. For every government, diversification. But no government until 2015 was able to diversify the economy. Because if you are talking about diversification, it means you are moving emphasis away from just crude oil production to active production in other sectors, especially in the agricultural sector, in the mining sector, and of course in the manufacturing sector, because these are sectors that actually guarantee job creation for a large population. So whoever is in government should be able to focus on that. So, of course, by 2015, starting with 2016, the Buhari government was focused on this. By 2016, the income we earned as a country was $17 billion. Compare that to $68 billion in 2011. $17 billion. Of course, we'll go into a recession, But we have a government that was able to prudently manage even these little resources we have. So much that under 16 months, we've exited the recession. It is because we're able to apply the little resources made, and we started turning the economy away from being import dependent to a more productive domesticated economy. And of course the pivot of that was agriculture. And more than that, the president, with the CBN, decided that we have so little foreign reserve. If we go on this binging, and it has become what you call a historical national binging. We binge on imported goods. One, you import goods, you don't have a strong productive base. The goods you import are cheaper than the goods produced in the country, because you are not also providing support for productive activities in country. Of course, what that one will lead to will be the shutting down of related manufacturing outfits in the country. And that led, for instance, to the erosion of the values of textile industries in Nigeria. If you remember that at the time, the textile industry was employing more than 16 to 70% of Nigeria's workforce. But we opened our borders, see here everywhere for textile, to be imported in at cheaper rates and all that. Within 6 years, all the textile points in Lagos, the solo axis, in the solo axis alone, we had more than 15 vibrant textile factories. They are all closed down. In Kano, in Kaduna, and of likes, they are all closed down. And what that translates to is that workers were retrenched. So if you are talking of increased number of unemployed Nigerians, it is because we decided to binge on imports. So it's this government that is now trying to change that narrative. In fact, we are members of the World Trade Organization, WTO. We have a Nigerian that is the DG, but we had an explanation. We were not supposed, to shut our borders against certain items, because, as I was saying, the president with the CBN itemized a number of goods that cannot be imported into this country. Well, not that cannot be imported, that cannot access foreign exchange officially, and because of what that does is you stop this set of items from accessing foreign exchange officially through the CBN, and by doing that you are protecting local industry. You are not only protecting local industry, you are giving vibes, you are giving support to the local industry to also grow. The WTO raised issues with us, and we said we don't have money to support the kind of import you export us to open ourselves to. So since then, we have seen a kind of boost in manufacturing activities, so much that when we entered our second recession, we had built resilience into our economy starting from 2016. So within 6 months, we exited the recession. It's simply because we had built resilience. We have now. It's not as buoyant as it may be, but we have an agricultural sector that is producing rice that we were importing more than 6 million tons, in a year. We were now also producing more internal things at the manufacturer's level. So there had been resilience built into the system. Now the shortcomings, the limitation is that when we had so much money coming into the economy, through sales of crude oil, which is, either we like it or not, we earned until 2015, our earnings from crude oil constitutes about 90% of our foreign exchange. So it is the major driver of the economy. And if we're going to do anything, if we're going to diversify, it was when we had enough money, to invest in all these other things that we should have. But now we are diversifying under a situation of constraints. We have little. From the records we have, in 2016 we made $17 billion. We don't have the record for 2018, for 2017. 2018, that $17 billion increased to $32 billion. 2019, it increased to 34, from $32 billion to $34 billion. Now, if you add all that together, still not up to $100 billion. So it is this little money that we have now, with that limitation, that the government is now trying to do this diversification. Obvious challenges, but if you measure the efforts of the government, people like us will stand at any point in time and proudly proclaim that this government had done so much within the circumstances it has found itself in the economy. Don't also forget that we were actually driving a growth pattern, between 2016 and 2020, when COVID also came. And it happened on us suddenly. There was no plan, and of course it couldn't even if we had plans, the global economy was more or less shut down too, and it affected our domestic economy. But again, because of the resilience, we were able to exit the recession that came from the COVID-19 pandemic, as it were.
Talking about the dollar hike, now, what is the government doing in bringing it back to its normal? Dollar?
Well, you see, the economics of foreign exchange is depends on which side of the divide you stand. If you are one that supports domestic economy, you won't mind if the dollar is devalued, because what it means is that where productivity is enhanced and you have Nigerian produce, Nigerian produce will be sold better outside your jurisdiction. Your export will be cheaper. Your import will be costlier. So the policy, as it were, though I know that the president is not one that loves this idea of devaluation, because
it's actually not sitting well with most Nigerians.
Yeah, but the truth of it is, we talked about our binge on imported goods. No country depends on imported goods and services and would be sustained. No economy. The only economies around the world, that is sustainable are economies that are able to produce domestically. At a point in time when our dollar, foreign exchange, let's be specific about dollar, when our foreign exchange was cheap relative to other currencies, some people would just gather money here and go to Dubai and buy goods and come to Nigeria. That's no economy. I would have preferred some people to buy things from, even as bad as Nigeria, the dollar rate as it may be to some people. If you go to Aba, if you go to Kano, if there are a number of places you go to buy things and export. When you export, you are earning more. When you import, you are reducing our foreign exchange, and it has no value to us than consumption. It has no value. So when people say, "Hey, naira is," what is your own problem with naira? Because you want to go abroad and import things, and of course it will be costlier within the Nigerian jurisdiction. Some people will complain, but we are saying, look inward. Let us see what we can do in Nigeria. One, let us focus our consumption on Nigerian products. Let us focus our trading from moving products produced in Nigeria outside the country. They are possible. If you go to ShopRite, 40% of products displayed, exhibited in ShopRite are manufactured in Nigeria. So it shows that there is a new momentum, of productivity at the level of the micro, small, and medium enterprises. So for me, naira dollar relationship, it's simple economy. And the truth of the matter is, if you are not earning much dollar, your local currency will fall. It's the reality. And I just told you how much we earned from crude oil. We at the point in time we've earned $68 billion. What did we do with that $68 billion? We imported and we ate it. We have eaten it. We cannot see good roads to drive on. We have eaten it. We cannot see good schools to attend. We have eaten it. We cannot lay claim. We cannot point to hospitals. We have eaten it. We cannot point to power. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I'm still talking about the Buhari administration's achievement. Let's talk about the infrastructure. We want to know, because many times I see on media, online and everywhere, and people complain a lot. And it seems as though the president is actually doing a lot, but it's not being, projected out there. So let us tell us explicitly in clear language what the president has been able to achieve in terms of infrastructure and other areas.
Well, if we're talking infrastructure, for instance, this even now, those who are critique of the government had accepted that more than any time, you have a government that is delivering on infrastructure. And we can start naming roads, either being completed or under construction. The Lagos Ibadan is a major reference. And of course, the second Niger Bridge had been in abeyance for more than 30 years. It had been a major political talk for more than 30 years. It's the first time an administration is taking it away from drawings to reality. So now we can see it. We can see that this is the second Niger Bridge, and that in the next 18 months maximum, we will be driving on it. The Tape Warri railway line had been in abeyance for more than 38 years. Abandoned. Standard gauge railway. Some people thought that standard gauge railway is a recent technology that we adopted. We had adopted it more than 30 years ago, but it was abandoned. It's this same Buhari administration that had delivered on it. Abuja, Kaduna, Kano Express Road. Abuja, Kaduna, Kano gas pipeline. You know the implication of that? That's opening up a whole new opportunity